Brakata Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Wa Barak, Wa Rapah, Wa Kazak, to the apostles, elders, and the brethren throughout the four corners, say Shalom. Here with another lesson. You got a lot of turmoil that's going on around the world and here in the U.S. also. So I want to touch on some scriptures, but I'm going to show video of the turmoil that's going on because it's self-explanatory for those of you out there who don't believe that the Bible is in step with everything that's happening in the world today. You should have a clear understanding of that after watching this video. There's no way in hell that you could say that the Bible is false, because everything that's in this book, this is what's coming to pass. And we've said it, and other brothers have said it. Literally, prophecy is walking off the pages of the scriptures and walking down the street, literally. So I'd like to start here before I show these visual aids. We're going to start here at Matthew 24 and 5 down to 8. It says, For there shall come in my name, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And you got that going on, right? You got that going on now like crazy. Not only do you got these different pastors that's out there in the world lying to you people that they have the word of, I'm going to just use the name right there, that they have the word of Christ. But we don't call the Son of the Most High Christ, because that's not his name. His name is Yahweh Shai. But, you know what I'm saying? But for you bozos out there that have no understanding, you believing in what these pork chop eating ass preachers are telling you, and what these Edomite preachers are telling you on these televangelistic shows that come on day in and day out, and especially on Sundays, right? I am Christ and shall deceive many, right? And they've deceived many. The so-called white man has you believing that he's the Son of God. He's deceived the entire world. A lot of you black people believe that the white man is God and that the white man is the Son of the Most High. And you have been deceived. Now, even here in this Hebrew Israelite thing of ours, you got other groups. You got other groups that don't acknowledge the Son of the Most High. You got other groups that are teaching a different doctrine, that are teaching you to assimilate along with Esau, that are teaching you to take the damn jab and to be in step with the program of the so-called white man. You got other Israelite groups, even though they call on the name of Yahweh Shai, they're not teaching about the end time. So they're coming with another doctrine, and they've deceived many people. You got different Israelite sects out here that have the people deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and you got that going on right now. You got it going on in Australia. You got it going on in France. You got it going on in Greece. You got it going on in the UK. Hell, and it's about to erupt here in the United States. Okay, Israel and Iran are supposed to be going to war. So the scripture said, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. Because this is just really the beginnings. This is, everything is festering up. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Not only do you got a nation rising up against another nation, but you got a nation within itself rising up against itself. You got a kingdom going against another kingdom, but that kingdom is also going against itself. And these different videos, I'm going to show you clips of what's going on in Sydney, Australia, of what's going on in Athens, Greece, what's going on in France, what's going on in the UK, and even in California, here in the good old U.S. of A. Is going to bring all of these scriptures that I'm going to read to light, because I'm going to just play the video and let it play. So I'm just doing a build up till I start playing these videos. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, where we're in the midst of that, where there's a shortage of tractor trailer drivers, before the pandemic and after. There's a shortage of materials. If you're in the building sector where you're into building homes, office buildings, or remodeling and stuff and doing things like that, there's a shortage on you getting sheetrock, getting plywood, getting 2x4s, getting the raw materials needed to complete projects. There's a shortage on that stuff all throughout the United States. Okay? And there shall be famines, and there shall be pestilences. Oh, and the main pestilence is the Windows 19. That's the thing that's all over the world. And that's the reason for all of the uprisings that are happening worldwide. And even here in America. The main pestilence is that Windows 19. All right? And earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. See, all of these things here, these things are just the beginning of sorrows. Now, I want to go down to, I want to get the Apocrypha. And I want to go here to, Second Ezra, probably one of my favorite scriptures, Second Ezra 8. Second Ezra 8 and 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And right now, people are miserable as hell, because not only have a lot of jobs that were around, your livelihood pre-COVID is totally different. Now we're a year after the pandemic. We're a year past the pandemic, and a lot of people's livelihood have been totally changed for good. Many businesses have shut down, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. There were places that could not rebound after being shut down for so long and not having cash, not having revenue come in. They had to close their doors. So even when it came time for people's unemployment and stuff to be up, there's no job for them to go back to. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world. People are miserable as hell right now. Since the spring, summer, we're in August, right? We're right here dead right in the summer right now. People have been going everywhere because last year nobody could go anywhere because everything was locked down. And we're about to go into another lockdown here in the United States. You can bet that. We're going to go into another lockdown, but this one is going to be much different than the one that came in 2020 starting in March. When it happens again this second time, it's going to be much worse. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. So the Lord is telling us about these things. He gave us the signs. He told us what's going to happen. But he said, seek out the glory for such as be like thee. In other words, look for people that are like-minded like you. In other words, the elect. That's what it's talking about. Seek out the glory for such as be like thee. In other words, we're seeking out the elect. We're not out here for the masses of the people. We're not out here for the masses of Israel, because the Lord is going to kill the masses of the people. So now, off of that, Ezra 8 and 51, let me show you the first clip. And this clip is going dealing with Sydney, Australia, lockdown extended, right? As other cities open up. Australia 7 News. So I'm going to play this clip.
Now, our other top story this morning is the COVID crisis, and as we go to air right now, 75,000 people in the Penrith region of Sydney cannot leave their local area. The Premier insists next month should still look very different, but now there are concerns about the virus spreading west.
Tough restrictions in New South Wales have been extended. Parts of Penrith in the city's west joined 8 hotspot councils in a harsher lockdown. The state recorded 262 new local cases. At least 46 were infectious in the community, and there's been another death, taking the toll to 28. Victoria remains in lockdown limbo today after 11 new local cases. None of them were isolating. Southeast Queensland has reopened, but Cairns in the state's far north is now in a 3-day lockdown after a taxi driver was infectious in the region for 10 days. And the nation's first drive-through vaccine clinic opens today, while AstraZeneca will be offered to under 40s in Victoria. And 1 million doses of Moderna are expected within weeks. Here's Cotty.
Live now to our team of reporters for the very latest. Samantha Bredd, you're at St Mary's, one of the new Sydney suburbs now in lockdown. Tough new restrictions for thousands of residents in the city's west.
Yes, Koshi, good morning. 75,000 people here in Penrith are waking up to these much harsher restrictions this morning. That spans across 12 suburbs, including Caddens, Kingswood, Orchard Hills, St Clair and St Mary's. All these people won't be able to travel more than 5 kilometres away from their homes, and they will have to wear masks not only indoors but outdoors as well. Still, the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian is hopeful that we will be able to get out of this lockdown by next month. This, of course, is contingent on exactly how many people come forward for the vaccine. And today we will be seeing thousands of HSC students come forward to get their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine at a pop-up vaccination hub. Of course, they've had a very tumultuous year. But Koshi, in some good news for some people, the New South Wales Premier has flagged that if more people come forward for the vaccine, we could see things like hairdressers and nail salons reopen very soon.
Can't wait for that.
Second Ezra's 15 in the Apocrypha. Second Ezra's 15, and we'll go down to (17). It says, "A man shall desire." No, I'm gonna start here at verse 14. Second Ezra's 15 and 14. "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men." Now the word sedition means, right here, sedition, conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. Sedition, conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. So here in 2 Ezra 15 and 16 it says, "For there shall be sedition." There's going to be people rebelling against the authority of the state, monarch, the state, a monarch which would be a king, or the government, local authorities. People rebelling against the authority. And that's what you got going on now. "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." Now here's another one. Now this is, I believe, Athens, Greece. So that's showing you right there what's going on in Athens, Greece. So I'm going to touch on it again. 2nd Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, people rebelling against the authority. So now, here's another one. Paris.
In Paris, protesters and police have clashed during a march against France's so-called health pass. The pass requires proof of vaccination against COVID-19 or a negative test to enter many public venues. And lawmakers are now debating making it even stricter in the hope that it'll persuade more people to get the jab. But the demonstrators say the measures breach their civil liberties.
Shrouded in clouds of tear gas, the City of Light dissolved into a battleground as police and protesters clashed over proposed COVID-19 restrictions. Rallies were held across Paris on Saturday against a bill being debated by lawmakers which passed its first reading the day before. The new measures would require everyone in France to have a special virus pass to go to restaurants and other venues. It would also make vaccinations compulsory for healthcare workers. I'm absolutely against it because I'm not vaccinated. On September the 15th, if I'm not vaccinated, I will lose my job. I have been threatened with the sack. I'm here today in favour of the freedom to choose to get vaccinated or not. We need to wait a little bit before the French people can decide. I feel that we are being rushed. It's only been 6 months since these vaccines were made widely available, and it feels like French people are being forced. I think a part of France is always going to be unwilling. COVID-19 infections are spiking once more across France, and hospital admissions are also on the increase. The government has responded by speeding up its vaccination campaign to protect the most vulnerable and also avoid fresh lockdowns. Despite the threat of water cannon, these protesters at least refuse to back down against the proposal for a nationwide coronavirus pass.
Now that was France. Remember, there shall be sedition among men. Now, the next one. This is in the UK. Now these anti-vaxxers, these protesters, they were trying to storm BBC studios, and they were bumping heads with the cops out there to show you that people around the world are not playing. People are going buck wild. 2nd Ezra 8 and 51. Many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world. And we are here. We are here. And from here, it's only going to get worse.
Lots of people. Please.
So these were people trying to storm BBC studios. Again, remember, many great miseries shall be done to them that in a latter time shall dwell in the world. It's the scripture said there shall be sedition among men. People inciting people to riot and go against public authority, to go against the king, to go against the monarch, to go against the government. Sedition. We look that up again. Sedition. Conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of the state or monarch. There's sedition among men going on all over the world, and even definitely here in the United States. And it's going to get like that, like it is in these other countries. It's going to be like that. If the people over here wake the fuck up and have some damn balls, you'll be tearing down the walls of your state government, local government, and even DC itself. If the people here had enough balls, I guess maybe they must be pumping too much fluoride into the water, because a lot of you men here in America, it's like your balls must have been cut off or something. Well, there is a term called chemical castration. I guess it's maybe too much what is it, atrazine, that's in the water and in the vegetation and the crops that grow out there in California. That's known as the salad bowl of the United States. But let me go to this one. As a matter of fact, speaking of California, let's see what's going on in California.
For the first time in almost 2 months, less than 100,000 Americans have been hospitalized for COVID-19, but January has still proven to be the deadliest month in America's COVID crisis. More than 94,000 people have died this month alone. CBS's Lilia Luciano is in Los Angeles and has the latest there. Lilia, good evening.
Good evening, Jerica. A new federal mask mandate is going to effect and will be enforced starting Monday for all public transportation. That means if you're traveling by bus, cab, plane, or train, you must be wearing a mask. This is anxious Californians' struggle to get a vaccine. Southern California's massive vaccine efforts picked up speed today as lines of people crowded super sites. Shortages, second shot anxiety, and even a protest at Dodger Stadium staged by anti-vaxxers that temporarily stopped shots have left many frustrated. Just 6.8% of all Californians have received a dose.
It's terrible. It's rough. It's exhausting on all of us because I'd like to have 1 million doses in our freezer. LA County has the highest death toll of any county in the U.S. COVID deaths here among Latinos have increased 1,000% since November. Still, nationally, they are less likely to get vaccinated.
There's education, there's communication, and there is a language barrier.
The push is on to reach those communities of color.
They're like, someone who looks like me and understands me can help me.
An Associated Press study of 17 states and 2 cities found that Black Americans are also vaccinated at far lower rates than white Americans.
I am excited that I got my first one.
The need to protect vulnerable populations even more urgent now, with 3 new variants detected in more than 30 states. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb telling Face the Nation there's new fears of regional epidemics.
Now the risk is to the fall when, these new variants are going to want to surge.
This week, Johnson & Johnson is set to ask the FDA for emergency authorization for its new single-shot vaccine. Until then, Americans can't roll up their sleeves fast enough.
We were anxious to hurry up and get the shot.
California's COVID vaccination rates still lag behind other states, but today's numbers show that both cases and hospitalizations are coming down. And this new transportation mask mandate can only help to stop the spread. Jerica?
Lilia Luciano for us in Los Angeles. Thank you.
So as you can see, second address 15 and 17, where I was reading that. Just find my place back. Yep. So I'm gonna read it again. A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. I'm gonna start back at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men. What is sedition? conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. For there shall be sedition, in other words, there shall be rebellion among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Like they were showing you out there in Australia, people had to stay in their homes, and they can only go, they said, no more than, they said 5 meters or something like that when they come outside of their home. So they basically had to stay right there, basically in their neighborhood. You couldn't go. It says a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. Why? Because with these different lockdowns coming and this different austerity that they're going to be setting up, you might desire to go somewhere, but you can't. You got to stay where you at. We caught a glimpse of that last year when this thing really ramped up and kicked into gear. They were banning people. The South was banning people from the North from coming to the South because the North, like the tri-state area, was the biggest hotspot. But then the South the numbers started popping off in the South. So they didn't, they had checkpoints set up when you were crossing to the state, and they'd ask you, where are you coming from? And then you'd have to put your name on the list and let the officials who at the the police or whoever, the state troopers or whoever were there that stopped you, and they were like, okay, where are you going? How long are you going to be there? Well, you know what? You got to quarantine for 2 weeks, while you're there. That was going on crazy big time. In Rhode Island, which is the next state, if you're going up 95 and you're passing through Connecticut, the next state is Rhode Island, and the next one is Mass, and then the next one is New Hampshire, then Maine. Well, going into Rhode Island, you had a lot of New Yorkers that was fleeing New York going to Rhode Island. Rhode Island was sending the state troopers and different officials, and they were looking for New York plates, and they were taking those people and they were tossing them out, locking them up, or making them leave the state, because there were a lot of New Yorkers that fled New York, because Manhattan was like ground zero. A lot of New Yorkers fled New York and were going to Rhode Island, staying in Rhode Island. And the governor of Rhode Island, they were seeking out New Yorkers that were in Rhode Island, and they were moving them out of there. So it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, which the cities are all troubled right now. And it's ramping up. It's starting to ramp up. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But there's going to be more to come, because there's so much that's popping off day in and day out that there's going to be more videos that's going to be popping off dealing with this situation, because this thing is not going nowhere. It's only going to get worse and worse, and it's going to intensify and intensify. And with that, I'd like to give all respect to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakodash, and I want to say Shalom.